Have you ever wondered what happens when an entire civilization just disappears? Throughout history, powerful societies have risen, dominated their world, and then vanished, sometimes without leaving so much as a single clue. Some left behind breathtaking ruins, others strange symbols we still can't decipher, and some left behind absolutely nothing. Today, we're diving deep into 5 lost civilizations that vanished without explanation. And number 1 might just change the way you see human history forever. So make sure you stick around to the very end because you'll want to hear every single theory. Let's start with number 5, the ancestral Puebloans. Deep in the American Southwest, these people achieved architectural wonders, carving entire cities directly into sheer cliff faces. Imagine places like Mesa Verde, with multi-story towers, underground ceremonial chambers called kivas, and incredibly sophisticated irrigation systems to farm in the harsh desert. They were masters of their environment. Then, around the late 1200s, after centuries of thriving, they just left. They abandoned everything. Entire regions were emptied almost simultaneously. What could cause such a mass exodus? The most common theory is a severe, decades-long drought that made farming impossible. Other ideas point to social conflict, shifting spiritual beliefs, or pressure from neighboring tribes. But the sheer speed and scale of the abandonment makes it one of North America's greatest archaeological mysteries. Why leave these magnificent homes so suddenly? We still don't have a definitive answer. Coming in at number 4 is one of the largest civilizations of the ancient world, and also one of the most enigmatic, the Indus Valley Civilization. At its peak, this civilization, centered in modern-day Pakistan and India, had over 1,000 cities, including the famous Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. They had advanced urban planning with grid-like streets, the world's first known urban sanitation systems with household plumbing, and standardized bricks used across their entire territory. They also had a writing system that, to this day, we cannot read. And then, sometime between 1900 and 1300 BC, this vast, organized society just seemed to shrivel up and fade away. There are no signs of a major war, no evidence of widespread plagues or mass graves, just abandonment. What could make millions of people walk away from their advanced cities? The leading theories point to environmental factors. Perhaps a long, unforgiving drought dried up the land. Or maybe the great rivers they depended on, like the Indus or the Ghaggar-Hakra, changed their course, disrupting agriculture and trade. Some suggest a collapse of trade with Mesopotamia crippled their economy. Or maybe an unknown disease swept through the population. But without being able to decipher their script, we're left guessing. Their thoughts, their history, their reasons for leaving are all locked away, making their disappearance a truly profound mystery. Now for number 3, the Olmecs. Before the Maya and before the Aztecs, there were the Olmecs, often called the mother culture of Mesoamerica. Flourishing in the lowlands of south-central Mexico, they left behind one of the most iconic and baffling artifacts in history: giant, monolithic stone heads. These incredible sculptures can be up to 10 feet tall and weigh over 20 tons. We still have no idea how they carved them with such precision, or how they transported these massive boulders miles from the quarries without the use of wheels. They laid the foundation for much of the religion, art, and architecture of later Mesoamerican cultures. But then, around 400 BC, their main centers, like La Venta and San Lorenzo, were abandoned. The reasons are murky. A volcanic eruption could have covered farmland in ash, making it infertile. Or maybe the rivers they used for trade and transport shifted their courses. Internal conflict is another possibility. But here's where it gets really strange. The last Olmec sites show signs of intentional destruction. Monuments were defaced. Statues were toppled. It looks as if they deliberately destroyed their own sacred sites before disappearing. Was it a rebellion? A ritual to mark the end of an era? Nobody knows why they would tear down their own world before vanishing from the historical record. Moving on to number 2, the Cucutini Tripolians. This is a civilization you've probably never heard of, but they are absolutely fascinating. Thriving over 7,000 years ago in what is now Ukraine, Moldova, and Romania, they are older than the Egyptian pyramids and Stonehenge. They built some of the largest settlements in Neolithic Europe, housing tens of thousands of people in densely packed cities. But they had a very strange custom. Every 60 to 80 years, they would systematically burn their entire city to the ground. Then they would build a new settlement, often right on top of the old one's ashes. Imagine the effort, the resources, the sheer dedication to this cycle of destruction and rebirth. And then around 3000 BC, after thousands of years of this practice, they just vanished. The cycle stopped. The people were gone. What happened? Some archaeologists believe climate shifts made their farming lifestyle unsustainable. Others suggest they were absorbed or displaced by nomadic tribes migrating from the steppes. But a more intriguing and stranger theory is that their settlement burning ritual somehow spiraled out of control, leading to a societal collapse. Did they perform one final, massive burning from which they never recovered? The truth remains buried with the ashes of their last cities. And now, for the #1 lost civilization that vanished without explanation, the Nabateans. These were the master architects who carved one of the most stunning and famous cities on Earth directly into the rose-red cliffs of modern-day Jordan, the city of Petra. The Nabateans were brilliant traders and engineers, controlling vital trade routes for incense, spices, and silk. They became incredibly wealthy and powerful, and their capital, Petra, was a bustling, cosmopolitan hub protected by its fortress-like canyons. Yet around the 4th century AD, these remarkable people seemingly disappeared from history. And what makes their disappearance so bizarre is what's missing. There's no record of a major war that could have wiped them out. There's no archaeological evidence of mass destruction or a catastrophic event. Petra wasn't sacked and burned. It was gradually abandoned. Over a couple of centuries, their unique language, culture, and identity just faded away with almost no trace. So what happened? One leading theory is that they were slowly and peacefully assimilated into the larger Roman and later Byzantine empires, losing their distinct identity in the process. Another is that a major shift in global trade routes, moving from land to sea, destroyed their economy and made their desert city obsolete. Or perhaps the most haunting theory of all, they simply walked away. Their purpose fulfilled or their way of life no longer sustainable. To this day, Petra stands as a silent, breathtaking reminder of a civilization that built a wonder of the world and then vanished without a clear cause. 5 civilizations, 5 disappearances, and 5 mysteries that archaeologists and historians are still trying to solve. From cliff dwellings in America to burnt cities in Europe and carved wonders in the desert, the past is filled with these silent stories. Which one do you think vanished for the strangest reason? Drop your theory in the comments below. I love reading what you all think. And if you're fascinated by mysterious history like this, do me a favor and hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into the unknown. Thanks for watching.